Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 8-Bit Upstarts. We are the Upstarts. My name is Nate.
I'm Tommy.
And so what are we? We're on the week of the 25th
Yeah.
of
What day
September.
of the week do you start with when you describe
Yeah, I'm
that?
always a Monday. Like
Monday?
yeah, I get the whole like Sundays are like what technically the start of the week, but no,
Not in
just
corporate
wrong.
America. It's not.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, if they could be, they'd have us in there.
Oh, yeah. True that.
But anyway, so being the week of the 25th of September, we have some new things that are releasing this week. Obviously, one of the biggest being Cyberpunk 2077 Liberty.
Phantom Liberty.
Phantom Liberty. I always want to call it Sons of Liberty. You know, the
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, it's like I can never remember. Or it's like I
Wait,
feel like
was that-
Phantom Liberty sounds so like a Metal Gear Solid name.
Yeah, you're right. I've never thought about it that way, but it absolutely does sound like a Metal Gear Solid game. Tagline.
So Phantom Liberty, the DLC for the first actual big DLC. I mean, there's been tons of stuff that they've added over the course of the past year, but this is the first big paid DLC that they're releasing, and a lot of hype for it. And I'm excited for it. So they have done a very large patch prior, like it was how long ago would you say was that 2.0 patch?
It was like a week maybe before, or maybe just a couple days before the DLC. They dropped the 2.0 patch, but yeah, it was like kind of like what we talked about before Starfield released, like with the numbering convention for like the version of the game. Like this one changes from 1 to the actual 2.0, and so like you said, so many things overhauled. The police system, the skill trees, perks, all of that completely overhauled to look entirely different. And even CD Projekt Red, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, because I think it's spelled in a different way, but that's what I'm going to call it, because I don't know how to pronounce it any better.
Right. No, I think it's just the instead of like a C, there's a K.
Yeah, I for some reason I feel like in other videos I've seen they call it like Project or
because it's Polish.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Which it is. But so I don't know. CDPR. They have said after when they dropped the 2.0 patch, like their suggestion was just to start a whole new character because so many things were overhauled, and it's like effectively almost an entirely different game.
Well, lucky for them, that's exactly what I was going to do. So
yes.
I won't hold that against them.
I beat the main story with my first character. I don't know, probably like last year maybe. So I have done it. So it's like now time. I've been actually starting to play some new characters, like different intro. Because there's the 3 ways: the nomad, the corpo, and the street urchin or whatever.
Yeah, street rat.
So I did corpo on my first guy, so I'm doing one of the other ones now. But I'm gonna redo it again since 2.0 dropped.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna look forward to it. Obviously, I'm still kind of like knee deep in Starfield, so I probably won't be getting into it anytime relatively soon. I'm hoping once, maybe around Thanksgiving or something, I'll get to it. Or if I'm just like so burned down on Starfield, I might just pick it up and just, jump in.
Yeah, it's just like a palate cleanser or something.
Yeah, exactly. Because I only have a few things really on my plate that I could do to like just, step away for a moment.
Yeah. I find sometimes that like, because Cyberpunk feels like a Bethesda type game. It's that RPG where you can do pretty much whatever you want.
That big open world.
Yeah, and so it's like stepping away from Starfield to play Cyberpunk is almost like it's like
overwhelming.
Jumping,
it's like jumping into neon, like a neon city.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So sometimes it's like I can't. It's like too much, and I need like a dumber, like mindless game to like step away from. Like,
have you ever tried jumping into a little game called Skyrim?
Starfield to Skyrim. Oh my god. No, it's been a minute since I played Skyrim. What I've been doing though is like playing. This is gonna sound so dumb, but I don't even care. I love it. One of the games I started playing is just like a little like aside from Starfield, especially when I don't have like a whole lot of time to play, but I want to play something. It's like Slay the Spire, which I think I've talked about. And then I also, so like with my wife and I, with some of our friends, we'll do like board game nights. And one of the games that we played a few times is Wingspan. I don't know if you've ever played that.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
It's literally a game about birds. It's like resource building kind of situation sort of game, but they have it on Steam, and I bought it during a sale because it was super cheap. So I started playing that against the computer just because it's like, you know, I can like throw it on this monitor while I'm doing other things, and I can like it waits for me to do my turn, so I can like do stuff, and then I can go back and do whatever and come back to it. So that's what I've been doing in between Starfield plays. But anyway, we were talking about Cyberpunk.
Yeah, we are talking about Cyberpunk.
So
I don't know why you had to go on that little tangent.
I don't know. It happens. This is real life me, is just constantly talking and interrupting people.
So
how many hours do you have in Cyberpunk right now, or do you know, or roughly?
Cyberpunk? Not. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know, 8 to 10.
Oh wow! So you're barely scratched the surface on it.
Yeah.
Did you have like any bugs that like caused you to stop playing, or was it just
no, it wasn't so much that it was actually kind of more that by the time because I got Cyberpunk pretty late, but also far enough in advance that they didn't really have, like, they announced the DLC and I knew that was coming. And then it kind of got into a point where I'm like, well, like, there are other things I want to play. And if it's just going to get an overhaul and I'm just going to restart anyway, I pretty much committed to restarting once I heard about, like, especially the 2.0 patch.
Oh, gotcha.
So I kind of didn't really have a whole lot of incentive to play.
Yeah, that
so
makes sense.
I felt like I was forcing myself, and I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm wasting time because I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna delete this save and just start over. And, you know, like I said, I had plenty of other things to play in the meantime, so it's not like, you know, I'm twisting my arm, gotta play something else, I guess.
Right.
And then, of course, you know, like Starfield, I had been waiting for, like, 2 months, like, trying not to, like, get too absorbed into anything else before Starfield came out.
Yeah, exactly.
I mainly have been focusing a lot on fighting games, like, for most of the, like, first half of the year, and then playing, like, a little bit of Fallout and not so much Skyrim, but
prepare
just
for
to kind
Starfield.
Of get back into to kind of get back into just how to play a Bethesda game.
Right. But it is very unique.
Yeah.
Speaking of fighting games, that kind of leads into another game that just released, which I'll let you go because you're the fighting game master between the two of us.
So master implies that I'm actually good. So let's just say aficionado.
All right.
Is a better word.
Hobbyist.
Yes, a hobby. A fighting game hobbyist. So Mortal Kombat 1 released.
MK1.
Very recently. And it also has the weird naming convention that it went from... I'm not even going to go through the whole list of Mortal Kombat games and their numberings, but
went from 11
the last
Mortal
game
one, right?
to come out was 11. And in the game, they're doing kind of like a whole universe reset. So that's why it's becoming Mortal Kombat 1.
I was going to say, didn't like the creators or something, when people asked, they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. There have never been any other Mortal Kombat games or something. Like, it seemed like it was kind of tongue in cheek. Like, they obviously knew that there were, but they were like, because this is a whole canon, like,
they're
reset.
Running with it.
Yeah, they're just like, no, this is the first Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah, it's, so it's definitely, different. It's a Mortal Kombat game at its core.
I would hope.
But after, yeah, right. But like compared to like MK11 was very expansive. Like every character had like 10 moves, huge combos. Mm-hmm. This Mortal Kombat 1, from my limited experience, I've only got a few hours really into it, but each character only has like 4 moves that you could use right now. It's weird, but they all but they combo. They focus a little bit more on just like combo. Like, it's hard to explain really. It feels very like basic. It feels a lot closer to the original style of like the original Mortal Kombat, where you have like 7 or 8 characters maybe.
Yeah.
And they all just have like just a handful of moves, and then you just have to learn how to combo with those. Well, they've done that. They've also introduced a new system called Cameo, which is kind of like an assist character that you select prior to the match, and they jump into the screen, they help you do a combo, and then they jump back out. Kind of like what was it? So Marvel versus Capcom that did something like that. You say you don't really play fighting games.
Yeah, I'm not a big fighting game. I do have 11
useless
though.
To me, Tommy.
Yeah,
useless.
Sorry.
But basically it's just like this little thing. You get to choose a secondary character that you could use to assist on combos and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. There's still the fatal blow system in place, where it's like if you get to, I don't remember what the actual threshold is, like you get like 20% like health left, you can just hit like the
L1 R1
trigger, the triggers to do an auto combo. And then there's also, of course, the fatalities, which I will say the fatalities do not disappoint in this one again. It's got to be so fun to be the person that's just like, hey, this is a new fatality, and we get to design these. And
it's like it's riding that fine line of like fun and also very demented.
Yeah, it's like either it hits that sweet spot, or I'm calling HR.
Yeah, right, exactly. Like this disturbed me deeply, and I'm gonna have to take some time away, or holy crap, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're a big fighting game fan, I definitely recommend checking out MK1. It definitely goes back to kind of almost its core, like, or its roots.
I wanted to kind of ask, so you said there are a lot less moves, and so like I have my most recent experience, the only one I can really directly call on would be 11, which feels very like, I mean, coming from someone who I've played the original arcade Mortal Kombat like before, and so like I know how that like feels and all of that. This one felt like, it's the 11th iteration of it. It felt pretty smooth. If MK11 felt
it was
awesome, and like you said, there are a billion moves for everyone. So right, like you said, there are a lot less moves. Does it feel like that's something you'll be able to like unlock more moves, or that's like the thing they're going for?
Curious, actually, because I feel like having more moves can lend to more longevity. In that it just, I don't know. I mean, it's different.
Or do you think this is like they're really leaning into, because I know they're big in the competitive fighting scene. Like obviously, like they're one of the big ones.
That's true.
Does this kind of lend more toward competitive fighting with like less moves and being more strategic about how you combo and counter?
I mean, it maybe not intentionally is geared like I don't know if it's purposefully meant to hit that market, but I've watched a few like competitive tournaments already, and they're still just like really, really good at it. Even just like like the game hadn't even released, and they're already having competitive tournaments for this, right?
Right.
But it feels like it's more conducive to the competitive environment, but at the same time, it's also not really making making it so that like just the everyday Joe is just like once he masters it, he's a competitive. Yeah, you can still it's very easy to pick up and play.
Okay.
Like the controls are it's super basic. Like I said, it's that's why it reminds me of like the very first Mortal Kombat in that, you know, like Scorpion in the original, he had a harpoon. He had like a slide kick or something. No, maybe that was, I don't know. But he had like 2 or 3 moves basically. Like all the characters had like 2 or 3 moves. And it was all about utilizing those to form combos and find out what they are, you know. Now I don't know, it's kind of really hard to explain.
It's probably even worse because I don't even have like a whole lot of knowledge of fighting games.
But you know, it's still gorgeous. The cameo system's different.
I mean, it's gorgeous on most systems.
Excuse me.
Some of those screenshots from that Switch release where all the eyes are just like no definition or
even somebody came out and posted that they were like for like one of the Switch info streams, they caught them using
the Steam version.
Yeah, because it's like what and was then it, they pulled that video up on the screen.
Like which like not your when I saw those screenshots, I was like, obviously they're hilarious, just like the way the faces look because this is super low poly and everything. But like, also there's this little bit of me that's like, but what did you expect, right? Like the Switch is 6 years old now. Like this year,
and it wasn't exactly a powerhouse to begin with.
Yeah, and when it came out, it wasn't on par with like the PS4 and Xbox One at the time. Like it was about a PS3, Xbox 360, maybe like in between that and the one. So it was like it wasn't that good to like powerful to begin with, but like that's not what it was built to do either. Like that one, at least from, I mean, I could totally be wrong. This is just my opinion on it. Like it's a Nintendo console, right? They just started porting third party.
That they would have even like, because of how image conscious they are. I'm surprised that they
that's
allow
true.
Like
that Mortal Kombat. Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that was, I remember that a while ago that was a main reason why like they didn't carry Mortal Kombat on like Nintendo systems, because it was you know, they had an image, they had a kid-friendly kind of, you know, persona that they want to project, and now obviously Mortal Kombat does not follow that.
Well, and I think too, for a long time Nintendo didn't really allow a whole lot of like third-party games to like any games that weren't developed by Nintendo or like a subsidiary of Nintendo. Like weren't really on Nintendo systems. That might not be 100% the case. As we were sitting there, I was trying to think of like any games that existed on like multiple consoles. Like Tony Hawk Pro Skater was on Nintendo 64, but that was also on PlayStation. That was never
Didn't they finally release like was it Call of Duty?
Remake of that?
No, well, no. I know they did for Tony Hawk. No. But I'm just not like. I think wasn't that a big deal whenever they released like one of the big first person shooters on Switch?
That's what I was like. That's what I was getting at. It was like on the Switch, they've like really opened that up. Yeah, because like Apex is on the Switch, Fortnite's on the Switch, MLB The Show. I mean, in addition to opening that up to Xbox 2, it came out on the Switch. It looks, the graphics are, when I saw the Mortal Kombat stuff, my first thought was like how bad MLB The Show looks on the Switch. It's MLB The Switch looks on the show. Because it's the same situation. Like MLB The Show is very low poly. It looks like MLB The Show that came out on the PlayStation 3, like I remember having. It looks just like that. But for me, like as I guess a filthy casual, when I'm playing it undocked, sitting on the couch, I don't care. Like all the rules of baseball still apply. So it's like,
I feel like that would be that would be a fun one to have that like mobile access to, you know, for the show.
That's why I love the Switch. Like I rarely play it in docked mode, because I usually play it like when I'm not sitting, like I'm with my wife and I are hanging out like on the couch or whatever, and she's watching a show that I don't necessarily care about, but I don't really like, we're still trying to hang out, so that I'll just have my Switch, or go to the bathroom, bring the Switch. So it's super convenient. I love it. I'm really hoping the Switch 2, Switch
Electric
2, whatever
Boogaloo.
the switching, the Switch 2 Electric Boogaloo. I really hope. I've seen like a lot of rumors that it's supposed to be like PS4, like Xbox One level hardware in there, which again, great, that's awesome, but you're still a whole generation behind.
Yeah, it's like,
but you're packing it into something that's this form factor, so I guess I should actually show it.
And I think that's fair. I mean, I think obviously there's a market for that, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's not just, it's also just it's Nintendo. Everything's going to sell. It's going to sell. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's going to sell.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, like I think, like, when we talked about last week, the huge Microsoft hack where there was those internal emails about trying to buy Nintendo and how that's like something. And I've just like, for multiple reasons, like the fact that we have 3 major players, 4, I guess. I mean, Microsoft is kind of in console and they are the PC one. But like with PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, it's like they have all carved out like this very specific area. I think Xbox and PlayStation have a lot of the same, but Nintendo really has carved out like their niche, and it's big and it's great, and they do everything they do great, and it's only good for competition for them to exist. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not as a part of the other ones.
And honestly, it's just the IPs that Nintendo has exclusivity to.
Yes.
Just basically ensures its survival. Like, they could just, as long as they pop out a Mario game every few years, a Pokemon game every few years, a
Zelda game,
yeah, they're not lacking for demand.
No.
So yeah, there's no reason for Nintendo to not just keep doing what they're doing, and
Exactly.
And like you said, it's good for the industry itself as a whole. Because now, like, because Sony's coming out with their new like handheld, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And it's probably not going to do well. I mean, that's just my opinion. Not when the Switch is already on the market.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and like all the other handhelds, like where their status is too, because like there have been handheld like
so
PC ones. Yeah. Other than like I know the Steam Deck has done pretty well, but it was priced super aggressively to do well. Like for a lot of things I've read are that like Valve took like a pretty big hit, like in order to price it so aggressively. They like aren't making as much as they could have, or maybe basically nothing at all on making those. Yeah. And so, but like that has been like a pretty successful piece of hardware. Like it does all the things it said, and then like
I mean that's the point, right? You take that hit so you can carve out that bit of market from Nintendo.
I think that's something like if Nintendo, I think Nintendo had a big missed opportunity, and I'm not speaking as the software hardware engineer that I am. Like if they would have been able to allow some way to like, I don't know, and I think there's a whole lot of other things that would have had to happen, but like if they would have been able to partner with like Steam and get like Steam Remote Play on the Switch, or something like that from the get-go, the Nintendo Switch could have been like a game changer, because they would have been at the time really the only one doing what they're doing. It plays Nintendo games, and you can stream your Switch. Like you can't buy any games maybe on it from Steam, but you can stream your Steam library, like however that operation worked. Instead, Valve came out with their own thing to do just that. But man, that would have been something.
Yeah. I mean, but these are things that like we're not even privy to the things that are going to be happening within the next few years. Like, I mean, we're fortunate, I guess, to see that curtain pulled back on those Microsoft leaks.
Yeah.
To kind of get an idea, it's like, okay, this is what they've already like. These are things we don't know, and they've already like planned out for like the next few years.
Yeah, and these are emails that came out 3 years ago.
Yeah, so it's like it's probably completely changed. There may not even be any like validity to any of those leaks anymore. But
right.
But again, it's just all stuff that we're not privy to. So everything we talk about is just speculation, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that's the fun part, I think, too. Is like we get to talk about what we think they'll do and what they what we think they should do or what they could do or what. I think that's the other thing too, is like what we would like to see. And I feel like that's no one cares. Like, they give us stuff and then we like it, but there's not a whole lot of like, what I'd really like to see, X, Y, and Z, and then someone do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really happen in the way that I would love for that to happen.
No.
No one listens to us gamers.
Yeah.
Meh, 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 meh.
Pound the table. So let's moving on. So there was also I don't remember when it was released, but the Sony has unfortunately been threatened with ransomware. Like hackers have claimed to have acquired like tons and tons of personal data on Sony users, and are now threatening, pay us money or we release all this stuff. So not great for Sony. Yeah. Especially after that one. Well, it's been what, 12 years since their last big.
Was it
you
that
remember what
long
I'm talking
ago?
about there? Yeah, I think it was.
Now I'm Googling. What was that? Okay, with 12 years would be 2011.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the network outage. Yeah. Huh.
So, I mean, yeah, it's been 12 years, but again, Sony, I'm sure, is not happy that this is happening to them again.
Yeah. Well, I that's never something you want. I feel like too. This this happens all the time, and I feel like I don't know too. Like, you're going back to what you're saying. We don't know the internals of how they work. We get privy to them if we get lucky, and it's years after things have changed.
They tell us what they want us to know.
Yeah, and so I always, you see this stuff happen, and it's like, this is why you should invest in IT. And maybe they did. I mean, they're kind of an IT company if you look at it, but it's like, that's why you need to always make sure that that's good. Which, again, that always follows with like, people find a way. Life finds a way, right? Like, hackers find a way. Like, it's just a constant cat and mouse game. But it's like, it just feels like, I don't know. Sometimes when you read after the fact, like, this is how they got in, it's like, how did you let that happen?
Yeah, because it's like somebody left their laptop open at a coffee shop. And
or like, that, or they like sold their account details to someone so that they could do this. And so it's just like all personnel things that you could do or things like that.
Yeah,
but it'll be interesting to see, because they haven't shown with this current Sony hack, like what data they have, right?
Right. It's just the threat, right? It's just they've said we have this, or we have something, and pay us.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what they actually got. Like, is it anything? I mean, obviously anything's bad. Like, I get that. Like, any sort of information taken from you is not good. But is it like?
Is it
is
like
it interesting data?
Is it like
credit cards?
Or
is it
personal
new
information?
Yeah, or did they get? It said like all of Sony's system is super vague, so it's like
that which kind of like makes me wonder is like, is it really? Do they really have like access to everything?
Or did they get like a singular document from a bunch of different departments? So it's like technically you got it from everything, but you didn't get a lot from any specific spot. I don't know.
So
it's all.
I'm very curious to see how this develops. So we'll keep an eye on that and keep all of you, one listener posted.
Yeah, because this is where you get your news, and you wait the entire week for us to talk about it.
I mean, that's the dream, right?
Yeah, I think that is. Eventually, that will be us.
Yeah. So what else is going on? What else we got going on?
The other thing that I saw that was kind of interesting was, which this isn't a game I've played, but I've heard good things about 1 and 2, was Payday 3. Had a really not good release, forced you to be always online, and people would be trying to matchmake for a game and be stuck for like 20-30 minutes just getting into a single game, or just to get into a game to play by themselves.
Yeah, that one I saw, that was kind of ridiculous. And like, I think they just, or I don't remember who releases Payday, or the studio.
Starbreeze. Yeah,
Starbreeze.
I just was looking that up too.
Yeah, but I just saw that, or I saw that they were like thinking that it's so bad that they're thinking about introducing an offline mode. I'm like, okay, hey, maybe start with that.
Right.
And
yeah.
Go from there.
It's so much easier to have that offline mode first so that you could play. And I get like, that's not like that game is very focused on like grouping up and doing the heists and stuff.
Sure. But
like that's rough. And coming from a game that was like pretty like had a lot of high expectations, because Payday 2 was a really good game. Like I said, I haven't played it. I think I have Payday 1. I think someone bought it and like gifted it to me, but I never ended up playing it. But like the idea of it, especially now, it's interesting that this is like a news article now and we'll get to Starfield in a minute, because I know everyone's super interested to hear. But I finished one of those quests that has you do a couple heists, and I was like, man, heists are fun. And this is a game that's literally all about doing heists. And so it's one of those games I'm like, man, I need to check that out. And now it's like, maybe I'll wait before I check this out. Also, I don't have friends to play with. So like this game in particular, I promise I have friends. Right?
He doesn't have friends.
Anyway, video games.
But yeah, so I don't know. But I mean, is anybody really surprised anymore with with these releases that are just really bad?
Yeah, the always online thing that's a thing that that has
never gone well ever.
No, unless you're World of Warcraft, where your game is supposed to be online. Like, being always
that's
online.
The only that's the only kind of game that you need to that needs to have it, and I get it. Everything else just doesn't need it, because you're not World of Warcraft, you're not Final Fantasy 14.
Right? You're not an MMO, a massively multiplayer online game. It's. I mean, I always felt the Call of Duty kind of idea, which I think now most of them are always online too, because they've focused
the whole battle royale thing.
Yeah, and I mean, because and even regular Call of Duty games have neglected the single player experience, I feel like, in order to do all the online stuff. But it was like, you play the game offline single player. You could do, offline split screen co-op. You could do the single player matches. You could do whatever, like the zombies thing. And then you connect to online for the specific purpose of playing online. Like, that was, I don't understand why that is not the model if you want online. Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's tired to talk about at this point.
Yeah, it is.
It's been going on for years, and it's always a problem. And it's just, but
it's another one of those things where it's like, I don't know what we're supposed to do to make it not be like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like you said, we've talked about it. Like, it has been talked about for a long time, and nothing is being changed.
No, because I think every new game, it's just like, well, it's different for us.
Yeah.
So
we're the different one.
Yeah, we're the one that's going to make it work. No, you're not. You're not. It's never going to work. People want to be able to. People want options. They want the ability to play it how they want to play it. And, forcing people to, like, I think some studios, a lot of studios, take for granted, like, that they think that everyone has great internet. Guess what? We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of us are fortunate to have good internet, but there's a lot of people that, don't live in a highly, highly, what's the word? Developed. I don't want to say highly developed. I mean highly developed in the sense that they have an infrastructure built.
Yes.
They have the infrastructure to support strong internet connections. Guess what? A lot of the U.S. is not built like that. It's like my family. Like, I grew up on a farm. We had to get our internet from a satellite.
Yeah, you had to go out to the well to get your internet.
Yeah, I had to spin the wheel, get the water going, so it churns up the electricity, so that I could get my internet connection.
So the internet could.
Well, I churned my butter.
Yeah, obviously. And I mean, not even the U.S. too. Like, there are everywhere,
that's
like anywhere rural.
Yeah.
It's like
it just.
The infrastructure's not
we don't
there.
all live in a city.
Yeah.
or
some
suburbs,
people need that offline mode so they can experience the game, which is like fantastic that's like what's amazing for games like Starfield and Cyberpunk. Like, those are games that don't require, you only need to be online to like download a patch if you need to download a patch. But other than that, you can play those games offline.
Right.
So it's like, I just,
that's frustrating.
Keep beating that dead horse.
Yeah.
Moving on to a new topic I like to call games I wish I had more time to play but don't because reasons. Baldur's Gate has been churning out patches and bug fixes and just, I think Larian Studios has done such a tremendous job with that game. I don't think that's something that cannot be overstated, is just like how well everything about that release really went for them. And
and
we talked about
it's been nothing but positive stuff. No, just to kind of go with that. But they knocked it out of the park, and I don't think anybody saw it coming. I mean, everybody was thinking, it'll be a solid, just top-down, strategy, D&D simulator kind of. But no, all of a sudden it's like, hey, this thing has really cool cutscenes, has really great graphics, storyline's awesome.
It's pretty easy to pick up and play. Like, it's very accessible.
Mm-hmm. So, obviously, if you've been following, I had my difficulties with the game, which ended up not being anything game-related, really. It was a faulty PSU on my part. So, unfortunately, I did refund the game. But I'll probably be picking it up again once I
have time.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was about to say, too, is like we were talking about before all of these games released was just like how good, and I'm sure we'll get to it. I feel like, by the end of the year, once, we're closer to all of the main games that have been released, we'll probably do our own game of the year, and probably talk about that as, get later. But which
I think that would be a very interesting idea, to see, because it's like,
it's going to be
a lot of good contenders.
Yeah. I mean, you got Tears of the Kingdom, you got Baldur's Gate 3, you got Starfield, just to name 3. I'm sure there are more that I did not prepare for this little segment before I started that sentence.
We'll take a look at Sea of Stars.
Yeah, I mean,
that's gotten really good reviews.
Yeah, and then I think Nintendo's got more things coming out too that are like the Super Mario RPG is gonna, I think, be released later this year. It's a re-release of the the one came out before.
I love that Super Mario RPG.
I know, I'm super pumped for that game. And then Final Fantasy, the next one, 7 remake, comes out next year, right, in February? I think.
Believe so.
Yeah. Part 2 remake or whatever.
I can't keep track of
it starts with an
system
R2
on that one as well. Yeah.
But man,
I'm really that's probably gonna be like a multi-part segment for us.
For sure. I think we're
just
gonna have
reviewing
to
the games of this year.
We're gonna have to like categorize it, right? Like I think we'll have like game of the year, but then we'll have to be like best indie game of the year, best this and that. Like have our own awards ceremony where we give out gold stars because our gold stars are worth more than anything.
Yeah. They're almost as good as a cookie.
Almost.
Cookies are delicious. Unless you make like star-shaped cookies.
Starfield cookies. Oh.
Starfield. It just writes itself, people.
It's look, the script writes itself.
This was a big this honestly, even just these past like 2 months are just fantastic for video games in general. We've had so many, and it's just like I haven't had a point where I've been so pulled in different directions to want to play another game.
Yes.
In a long time, because they just like, it's like, it's like, I do want to play. I want to play Cyberpunk right now.
Yeah.
But I'm like trying to focus on getting through Starfield first. Albeit I'm having a bit of a tough time with that because I get very distracted in Starfield and I get off the main quest way too often.
Yeah.
And I get sucked into that's a tribute to how good Starfield I think is, and like in the depth that it has.
And those are like the point. Like you should be getting sidetracked on that stuff.
Yeah, but it's just like, that's a Bethesda game. Like that's how it was in Skyrim. Like I think the very last thing I did in Skyrim was the main storyline. Whenever it came to it, like I did all of the side quests first.
Yeah.
So
all of them,
but most of them. Some of them.
Jeez,
like a fraction of them. But it's just like, I don't know. I felt like sometimes the side stories are a little bit more intriguing than the main story.
Well, yeah, I would. I do think it has its like ebbs or its peaks and valleys, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm not saying like the side stories are like more like in like take Skyrim for example. I love the Dark Brotherhood storyline.
Oh,
side quest.
Yeah.
But it's not like the longest thing in the world. It's nowhere near like in length and depth of the main storyline. But I had a lot of fun playing it, and I enjoyed it more than some parts of the main story. So,
what too? Like every time, all roads lead to Stealth Archer, and I think the biggest problem or like the biggest factor to that for me personally is the Dark Brotherhood quest, because the rewards in the Dark Brotherhood quest line are so good, and most of the things require you to be stealthy in some fashion. So it's like every time I start a new character, I'm like, well, I gotta get like Chill Rend, because that's what you get. That's like the sword that's not necessarily like needed to, you don't need to be a stealth archer to utilize that. It's a glass longsword that has frost damage attached to it. So it's like, that one's just a good reward, but you have to do a lot to get to that. And by the time I get to it, I'm like, guess I'm a stealth archer now.
Yeah. Well, and then also like, especially if you go down like the Thieves Guild line.
Oh yeah. I wasn't even going to touch that.
You get that. Yeah. And then you get the Nightingale armor.
Yeah.
Which that just lends more to the stealth archer.
And it's basically like you're undetectable. You just crouch walk everywhere, and everyone's like, the wind just rustled weird. And you're like,
as an arrow sticking out of their head.
Yeah. Huh. That was weird.
But so which is funny because I actually did want to ask you. So, did you end up following for Starfield like a similar build, like a stealth sniper or whatever?
So, yeah, ultimately, yes. I started out. I was trying to like do this headcanon for my character because I did like industrialist. So it's like you're coming from a background of being in industry, so you're all about like talking, right? Like smooth talking, diplomacy kind of thing. So I was like, I'm not necessarily going to always talk my way out of everything, but that's what I'm going to like kind of focus on. And then I was like, in my head canon for this character, I was like, what pairs really well with this? Pistols, and like only pistols. And like, that's like I was saying, like I pretty much use pistols constantly. I occasionally will pull out, because I have so much ammo for like, the Maelstrom and the Grendel and some of these other assault rifles that I just need to use. I will pull that out in situations like in a couple quest lines where I'm like, oh, there are like 24 enemies in front of me. I think I'll use an assault rifle right now. And so like I'll use it then, but mostly I do use a pistol because I just feel like for my character that like makes a lot of sense. So like I have a couple points in like ship stuff, but then what I like and I also don't like is like you don't really get stealth at all until you get at least the first perk in stealth. Then you get the stealth meter and everything. And so I was like, well, I at least want that, right? Like I at least want to know if I'm hidden in, crouching. And then I just started putting more points into that. And so, but like I'm now like, adjusting my headcanon of this character to still incorporate that in a meaningful way. So I'm definitely a stealth archer, but I'm like not a long distance one because I'm pistols. So I'm like kind of more an assassin.
Yeah,
an assassin of industry is who I am.
But I feel like it almost the way the setting is, it's almost hard to be a long distance sniper because everything's very close quarters, right?
Yes.
And I will say I started as a pistol user as well, but then all of a sudden I get like a really awesome legendary, assault rifle. I'm like, well, I guess I'm assault rifle now. So that's I got a legendary Orion assault rifle early on in the game.
I am hearing music, and I don't know from where. Oh. Okay. That was.
This is live, folks. This is.
I was So I have another podcast. Spoiler alert, I listen to other podcasts too. I had another podcast up on YouTube, and it's set to start right now. And I had the YouTube page up before the premiere link started, and there's music on the premiere link. And mid-sentence for you, it was like full blast in my ears. And so I was like, I could only barely hear what you were talking about, and it was scaring me. Anyway, continue with your Starfield stuff.
Yeah. We're so professional.
Oh man.
This is top quality stuff. No, I was just saying, like, because I started pistols as well, and then I pulled a legendary assault rifle.
Was that from the Crimson?
No, actually before. I did get the Revenant from which I love that
Spoiler
gun. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a named gun.
That's true.
That's all. But I found that I love it. It's one of my most powerful guns, but it chews through ammo so fast.
Good to know.
Yeah. So it has. Well, I don't know. So I don't know if the legendary stats are consistent from gameplay to gameplay.
Yeah, I'd be curious if they're the same.
Magazine, so it has 150 capacity for bullets, but it also shoots out like a shotgun spread.
Oh, does it have one for all?
Rifle. Excuse me.
Or whatever that perk is. So wait, I can tell you for sure, I only remember one of mine on mine is like titanium plating. or like it's one of the perks. Build? Yeah, is that on yours
where it's
too?
Like super light?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
that's
the
only one I remember.
But it's like I was using it, and I was in a tough area, and I was like trying to clean out this abandoned space farm that had been overrun by creatures, and I tried using it because it's my strongest gun, and I'm tearing through them, and the next thing I know, it's like I've gone through half of my ammo. I started with like 1,500 bullets, and now I'm sitting at like 700, and like this is after just like killing like 3 things. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll have to just put that away.
Right.
But that legendary Orion weapon I have, rifle, it does 30% damage extra to aliens. So I was like, okay, but it's like a semi-automatic, so it's a single shot fire.
Yeah.
So that's it uses less ammo. It doesn't do quite as much burst damage, but it's really cool. And honestly, it's been like my main gun for like, I'd say like 90% of my gameplay so far, because I got it so early. That was like my first legendary.
Yeah.
But I really want to like play with other guns. There's some really cool guns, and I just picked up an epic grenade launcher, which I didn't know was in the game.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I haven't picked that one up.
Yeah, it was a random drop at a random outpost that I just stumbled upon on a random tile in a random planet. So they exist. They are really cool. Also, don't fire them close range.
I assume it's similar to like the Fat Man from Fallout.
Yeah, basically. Not quite as big bada boom, but
Fat Man times 4 too, when you would fire 4 mini nukes at the same time.
Yeah, but it's just I love the legendary raid I'm pulling is good. It's solid. I feel like it's not too many, but also rare enough to make it like feel like, hey, this is awesome and I can use this. But the problem I'm having is that it's just like I get a new gun that doesn't fit my build. I'm like, I really want to use this gun. So does that mean I have to build a new character around this? Because for me, it's like I'm not leveling up fast enough to get all the perks I want to get.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem for me. I just maxed out my weight limit, my weight carry capacity. I've maxed out a few of the shipbuilding stuff, piloting the starship design, piloting the outpost, engineering. I'm kind of just all over the place, really. Like I just kind of take like a perk. Like usually by the time I level up and I have a point, I'm like, well, I've noticed I've needed this, or like I need to buff this, so I should just do that. Even though there's like other things. 32, I believe.
Huh. Okay, so we're still pretty close.
Yeah.
I think I'm like 28, 29.
So, but again, I get sucked into doing things that don't give a lot of XP, or like I've been surveying a lot.
Yeah, I like surveying. It's fun.
It is fun.
Like just roaming around.
It's deadly,
like,
but
yeah, and it's sometimes you land and it's like, okay, there's nothing here, but I want to make sure I survey this planet 100%.
Yeah, because then you can sell the data, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did by accident. I found that out by accident.
Okay.
Because I had like 3 or 4 planets that I fully surveyed, and then I came across, I can't remember who it is.
Vladimir.
Okay. Yeah, I talked to him and he was like, it was like, I have data for you. And I was like, what's this? And I showed it. I was like, oh, that's so much money.
Yeah.
At that point in time.
Yeah. And I guess like some planets are worth more than others.
I think it probably depends on like, I haven't verified this because I just sold all of them at the time. I didn't look to see what planets they were, but I bet if they're a planet that has a lot of like flora, fauna, and resources, and not just like
most likely
resources, those are probably the ones that get you more money.
I did because I committed last night. I was like, I want to find an awesome outpost location. I already have one outpost location, but it was more ideal for inorganic resources. Yeah, it's like I found a point where like 5, I can access 5 resources.
Oh, nice.
From my base. So it's like, iron, aluminum, beryllium,
All of the really needed ones.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I use some help online to like get to where they're like, go to this planet and this location and try to find one of these, because you still have to like walk around and find it.
Yeah, right. It's not gonna be the same,
but it's not the prettiest, so that's what I want.
Oh yeah, you gotta find because you can make 10 outposts or something.
8. And then you can use perks skill points to upgrade up to, I think, 16.
Oh wow,
16 or 8. Yeah, and then that also lets you, if you upgrade that, you can also build on extreme weather planets as well.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So, but regardless, that's not what I'm looking for. I finally found a tropical forest coast.
Nice
tile, and so I'm currently working on building up a outpost on the beach. With like palm trees behind me. Yeah, and mountains and palm trees. I'm like, sweet.
Make sure you get some like good photos, so that way when you load between stuff, you'll get like your outpost.
I need to utilize the photo mode because I think we talked about this offline. You said that photos you take show up as loading screen images. Yes. Right?
They'll start filtering in.
So that's pretty cool. I'll have to definitely utilize that. And so yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. It's a lovely location. I can't believe no one staked it out before. But it only has water. Like, that's the only resource it has, which I don't care because because you can just like set up a cargo link from your base to your other base.
Oh, sick.
So okay, we're getting close to wrapping up, but I am going to admit I am a cheater.
You filthy, filthy cheater.
I have used console commands.
How?
For only one purpose.
Dare you? I'm going to eventually do the same. And how did you use it?
Just to increase storage capacity on my containers.
Oh, that's fair.
Like, so my problem with the storage capacity is a big issue for me because I'm a hoarder. In
the game or real life?
Thankfully, in just mostly in the game.
Yeah.
But like, have you built any outposts yet?
Very rudimentary one on Earth.
Have you built storage containers yet?
No.
Okay. So there are 4 types of storage containers, whether it's like inorganic, liquid, gas, depending on the resource. Then, as you level up your outposts perks, you get access to bigger storage containers. The first level storage container has, and this is like a full on like storage like crate,
is it the big tall, like cylinder on the side? Okay, I found some of those at like places you explore.
They're on some of the other outpost bases that are generated, but the storage capacity for those 150. Like, my character can hold more than these giant storage containers.
That tracks. You got deep pockets, bro.
150. And then you can upgrade it up to to level 3, which gives you like a huge container, and it holds like 300. Like, it's the size of like a small spaceship.
And it barely holds anything.
So I just console commanded to just manually increase the. I set it to 20,000, which I think is more suitable.
Yeah, seems a little overkill, but I see where your head's at.
So you say that, but I just added a second 20,000 one because I ran out of room.
How many Eggman desktop assistants are you putting in there?
None. Those are in another crate. But so the reason is because I've upgraded my outpost stuff so much that my iron and aluminum extractors are producing
more than you can store.
Yeah, basically. So my storage is like, I have like, it's like 20 titanium, 15 beryllium, 21,000 iron. So it's just like
Dude, okay. when you like are extracting, does it run out eventually, like what you're extracting from, or is it just forever?
As far as I know, I haven't run into a cap yet. It just keeps going. And I have it set up so that like you can. So I have two containers on top of each other for like the stuff I'm extracting, and you can set a cargo link between them so that like as you pull from the one that's full, it filters from the less full to fill up the first one. So which is cool.
That's cool.
I like the cargo link system. It's really neat. But it is just tearing out my my storage capacity. So
you have.
So I'm not proud of it, but
yeah,
I had to do it. Otherwise, what's the point? It doesn't. It's just gonna. It's because like so when the extractors run out of room to place, if you don't, because you set a cargo link from the extractor to the storage container, and so it just sends it automatically from the extractor to the storage. Mm-hmm. If you don't have that, if it sits in the storage or the extractor, if it fills up, it just stops extracting. So it's like, I don't want it to stop working. I'm paying for this.
Even after 21,000, oh my God. Okay. Well, let's wrap that up there with how much of a hoarder you are. I'm just saying. Listen.
You know what?
What had happened was I got too many things. And now I need to store all the things.
Yes. And thankfully, the game allows me to manually do that at the cost of achievements, which I don't really care about. So I'm not a big achievement guy. So, I mean, it's not like I'm just like, I mean, I'm sure I'll have a playthrough where I'll be like, I want all of the skills at the beginning at level 1.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah.
I want everything.
For sure.
But that's the fun of a Bethesda game. So
absolutely.
So, all right, we've covered a lot, way more than I thought we were going to cover today. So, it never fails. We always come in with this like a short list. It's like, we'll just talk about this, and then we'll just shoot the breeze the rest of the way.
And then we'll round it out with Starfield.
Yeah, but this is probably the most in depth we've gotten into like actual Starfield play.
Yeah, we got a little inside baseball.
I didn't even, I didn't even talk about my shipbuilding experience.
And I think that was what we were like mainly going to focus.
Talk about, but hey, another time. Maybe I can find a way to get that picture of it uploaded. But I spent a lot of time on a spaceship, and I think it looks cool. And I want to share it with you.
I want to see it.
So, all right, I'm dying. Slowly. Apologize for the cough. But that's our show for today. Thank you again for listening. Always, we appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, likes, dislikes, just let us know. Throw that stuff in the. I almost said a bad word.
Your mom watches this.
Yeah, I know. Oh my God. Throw all that stuff in the comment section if you want. We're always receptive to what anyone has to say. But we'll wrap it up there, and we are the 8-Bit Upstarts. My name is Nate.
I'm Tommy.
And have a great rest of your day.